Well, we finally arrived, ladies and gentlemen. After 77 chapters, Totland is finally concluding in this chapter 902. I think we should take a moment to look back and reflect on the high points of this arc, you know, and I can't speak for everybody, so I'm just going to list off my 10 favorite scenes from this arc. Well, okay, there was the scene with Nami and Carrot in the bathtub at Beige's castle, so that's definitely on there. You know, actually, no, I'm pretty confident in just that one choice. I know it's kind of dubious, you might want to throw Katakuri and Luffy on there, but I think this one scene right here summarizes everything you need to know or care about the Totland arc. Okay, well, let's get the out of Candyland and move on to Wano or Reverie, whatever. Anyway, let's just get out of here. Let's just see how this whole thing ends. Let's go. Before we even get into the chapter itself this week, I want to talk about the cover page of Shonen Jump, because it's pretty badass. It shows all the different main characters from all the different Shonen Jump series wearing outfits from other characters. So Luffy is actually dressed as Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia. That's pretty cool. And then to his right, you see Asta from Black Clover dressed as Luffy. Oh, okay. Asta, buddy, look. I'm okay with Black Clover. I think it's fairly average, but you don't get to wear that damn straw hat just because you're average, okay? You need to get some chops under your belt, Asta, before you can even think about cosplaying Luffy at your local anime convention. You take that fucking hat off right now. Alright, anyway, also the kid from Haikyuu's there, and I honestly don't know much about that series because I don't read it. Is it worth it? Should I read Haikyuu? Should I take the time out of my life to read? I don't like sports manga in general. Maybe it's different than most sports manga. I don't know. Maybe it's like them fighting with, like, you know, spiritually possessed volleyballs and it, like, launches fire or ice or some shit. I don't know. Maybe I should give it a shot. But I don't know the name of that character, and I also don't even know what character he's, like, dressing as right now, but I do like Senku from Dr. Stone back there dressed as Asta. I think that works kind of well. Also, it looks like you can get a free Yu-Gi-Oh card, which seems to be an upgraded form of Relinquish. That's a Link monster back there, so it's times like this I just kind of wished I lived in Japan and I could actually buy the physical copies of these magazines because they look like cool collector's items. Anyway, the actual cover page itself is just a color spread of Luffy being the Sweet Busters. Oh, I get it. It's a reference to Ghostbusters! Da 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 da. It's a gingerbread cookie Robin! That's so adorable! I mean, also gingerbread cookie Sanji and Nami and all the other Straw Hats, but the gingerbread cookie Robin is so cute. I need to have that as a pop figurine so I can put it next to Nami. Nami gets a pop and Robin doesn't. There's some injustice in the world right there. I don't know. Okay. But anyway, let's get to the actual chapter. So it actually starts off with a flashback to when Sanji and the twirly-eyebrowed pirates first arrived at Zou. You know, when Jack had just released his chemical weapon, the Koru gas, the kill gas, all over Zou, which of course succeeded in killing exactly none of the minks. I know I brought this up before, it's just hilarious to me, of just like, this is a guy, Caesar Clown, that has the power of the gas Logia fruit. He can literally manipulate all these different gases at will, and he has not succeeded in making any type of gas weapon that can actually just immediately kill his opponents. You don't even have to go that far, just like, okay, well, there's a lot of air on Zou. There's a lot of air kind of everywhere. Okay, O2, you go over here, carbon dioxide, you go over here, and into the minks, and then they're dead. Like, that's all it would take! Whatever, anyway, yeah, Caesar shows up, of course, and he uses the reverse of the Koru, the Roku gas, in order to nullify it, but there's actually a scene when the Straw Hats first arrive there, when Sanji and Chopper, they have to have, you know, the things over their mouths so they don't breathe in the gas, and, you know, Pedro actually is the one one that comes out of the forest, and he's all bleeding, and there's blood everywhere, and you know, he's about to die from the gas itself, and he just, imagine, the Straw Hats, they've never seen minks before, so they get to Zoe, and they're walking around, and all of a sudden, this bipedal jaguar mink just wanders out of the freaking forest, like, you gotta help, oh my god! So, they react fairly well, though. That's like the first mink that they really met on Zoe, and that's when Caesar, you know, uses his ability to save them all, and Pedro is just pleading with them, like, please, you gotta save Nekomamushi and Inurashi-sama. You gotta save them. They're the ones that are, the dawn of the new world needs to have them there present. It's okay, like, if I die, it's cool, if like, all of us die, but you have to save those two, you have to. And, of course, you know, Sanji, Chopper, and Caesar, they all helped out there. Well, Caesar begrudgingly, but, you know, they still helped out. And that's the moment that they first met Pedro, and now Sanji just being told about Pedro's death, because it's been kind of, you know, fast-paced. They've not really had a lot of time to really sit him down and tell him what happened. You see a scene at the present where Sanji is staring out to sea on the Thousand Sunny, remembering Pedro in this meeting, and he's like, wow, he's really dead now then, huh? And they didn't really know each other for very long, honestly only like a few weeks, but that image would probably really stick with Sanji, and I hope that this is referenced periodically throughout the One Piece story from this point onward. You know, like that moment, you know, when Pedro came out and just like, oh god, you have to help us, and Sanji's like, okay, I'll help you, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. But now that person's dead, after all the stuff that happened, and they saved them, he still ended up dying here, and he's remembering back to when Pedro said this place would be his grave, and it's pretty emotional. And then Carrot walks up behind Sanji, and this is a really adorable scene. Carrot walks behind Sanji and pats him on the head. And remember, whenever somebody does that, maybe this is just a term of like of endearment with the minks, you know, kind of like the Garachu thing, because, you know, whenever Luffy patted Carrot on the head, that like immediately calmed her down whenever she was in her rage moment. Maybe it's just a thing specifically for bunny minks or just for Carrot, I don't know. But, you know, that's like a thing that people do to Carrot to calm her down and like reassure her, and so Carrot does that with Sanji to kind of calm him down, like let him know like everything's okay. You know, Pedro, he made up his mind, you know, before he even arrived in Totland. He knew how this was going to end. So don't feel responsible for his death or anything. Don't feel bad about it. He lived his life the way he wanted to live it, and that's the way he wanted to end it, and that's just how it went. Now, Carrot, of course, is trying to reassure Sanji here, but she eventually ends up breaking down in tears as well, not just because she knew Pedro her whole life, but also because Pedro was kind of her mentor. He's the one that, like, gave her, like, here are your badass bunny gauntlets, and she's like, awesome! So she starts crying her eyes out and says, you know, just tell him thank you, and everything will be square, everything will be fine. And that's when Sanji turns around and pets her on the head and just like, yeah, it'll be okay. Everything, that was just the man he was, okay? He died a true warrior's death kind of deal. So, that's kind of nice closure we have there. I'm glad that Oda referenced it anyway. I mean, when Pedro died, we did have a moment where the Straw Hats at first were like really shaken up by his death, but you kind of have to get back into the action, right? And that happened like 20 chapters ago, but it's good that we had some closure. I enjoy that. So right about now is when we start getting another little musical number from Big Mom, I guess. It's just kind of overlaying this whole chapter. Big Mom's not actually there next to the Sunny or anything. It's just like the speech, the same thing that happened when she ate the cake and she began to do her, like, this is Totland, you know, and this is like, it's soul pocus, soul pocus. You know, the problem with seeing the song in the manga format and also with all the different translations, I'm using the Kiss manga translation right now, I know Manga Stream is slightly different, you know, it's hard to get the tempo, and of course words are going to rhyme differently in Japanese than in English, so, you know, reading it like this, it's just not, it doesn't really have the full effect, you know, it's kind of the same thing with that Germa theme song that we had back during the Tea Party, which, by the way, that'll be happening rather soon in the anime, and I am super pumped for that. Are you? You should be. Because that's gonna be so cool. I hope they just take it like right from like a Kamen Rider series or like Super Sentai. It's like Kaizoku Sentai Jumbo Double Sixu, and then just like starts in the hard rock. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. But you know, I don't know exactly how this song is going to go in the anime. I don't think this song was played yet in the anime. I know in the anime when Big Mom was first introduced, we have that like This is Totland song, but I don't know if we've heard the Soul Pocus soul speaking song yet. Maybe we have, and I'm just not remembering it correctly, but yeah, I'm not going to attempt to sing it because I would probably mess it up in like many different ways. Anyway, they're arriving near the borderland of Totland because this is when the cotton candy snow began to fall. That's like a sign that you're entering Big Mom's territory, or vice versa, that you're leaving it. So they're like, oh, okay, we made it out! Nobody's really celebrating, though, in a big way. No one's, like, jumping for joy because, you know, if I was in a situation like this, I'd be like, okay, well, we never know. Like, at the very last minute, we think we're out, then all of a sudden, Big Mom just appears out of the ocean like the damn Kraken, like, and just, you know, like that scene at the end of Friday the 13th where Jason pops out of the water, like, at the last minute, the peaceful music is playing, like, we made it out of Totland, and then Big Mom just grabs the edge of the sunny and just knocks the thing down to the end. Why am I laughing? That would be horribly disturbing if that happened, but yeah, so just kind of chill out for now. Now, going back throughout Totland, we have all of the homies singing for joy because Mama is back now in action, and they're all singing her little theme song here, reminiscing, basically a wrap-up moment. We have little scenes there of Sanji and Pudding, and like, oh, these were the star-crossed, you know, that this was the married couple, you know, and all this stuff, and then we had the German, now we have Jinbe, and they're like, okay, men, hold fast, men! They shall not pass until the Straw Hats can leave, and then we can get the hell out of Dodge, but not beforehand! So, they're in the middle of this massive battle against the Big Mom Pirates right now. We cut over to Pudding a few times, and we see her still at Cacao Island, just hanging out in one of the alleyways. No one's really noticed her there yet. I think Rabian is just kind of like, hey, can we get going now? Because this place is kind of a war zone, right? Now, Pudding remembers back to when Big Mom first told her about the whole deal with Sanji. Like, you're basically just a puppet. Use that acting skills you had and, you know, and make him fall in love with you and then shoot him in the face. You know, and so she's just calling Pudding a puppet. And, of course, Big Mom didn't really care much for Pudding at the beginning anyway. And so Pudding is just reminiscing about this, and she's like, you know what, Mama, I'm not a puppet. You know, I'm my own person there, and she eventually did end up falling for Sanji. Sanji turned out to be a pretty cool guy. And then we get that scene where what happened with the interchange between Pudding and Sanji before they separated, okay? Now, a lot of people thought, myself included, a lot of people thought that Pudding was just going to erase all of Sanji's memories of Pudding. Not actually what happened, and I'm actually okay with that. I'm glad that that happened because, you know, I'm not a big fan of the whole, like, oh yeah, this whole experience that you had, yeah, you don't have any memory of it anymore, so it doesn't really affect anything. I don't like that. I hate it when, like, the end of an arc, it's just like, oh yeah, all this cool stuff that happened to you, you don't remember it anymore. Watch the first Pokemon movie. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. And, you know, even if Pudding did erase all the memories of her from Sanji, that's not like everything would be erased, but that's like a big chunk there. That'd be like some character development that we're like removing, you know? So what actually happens, though, is that when Pudding approached Sanji, took out his cigarette, she actually kissed him. And it must have been a pretty hardcore kiss, too, because the second it was over, that's when she removed Sanji's memories only of the kiss. I guess that she was just too shy to, like, have it stick around, like, because Sanji was really, like, the first guy that she ever really had a feeling for in this way, and so it's just like, I need to kiss him to say goodbye, but I'm so embarrassed I don't want him to remember the kiss, so she kisses him, and then we don't actually get to see them kiss. I don't know if that's just too risque for, like, I'm imagining this was a hardcore kiss. I'm imagining Pudding's, like, there's tongue, it's just, you know, it's really hardcore. It was, like, some seinen quality stuff. You know, you couldn't show that. So the second she's like, oh, and then Sanji, you just see him, like, with the hearts in his eyes, like, he's like, oh, you're a pretty girl. And that's when Pudding just rips out the memory of the kiss and then runs away. And then Sanji's just sitting there like, oh, you're a pretty girl. Hey, wait a second, Pudding, what was your last request? So, Sanji finally got some. He got a kiss from a very attractive female. This was one of his big dreams throughout the story. Thinking back on this now, has Sanji ever had a serious kiss from any female character? I don't think he has, now that I'm actually remembering this rightly. Like, there's been, like, a few that have been interested in him, or at least feigned interest in him, but I don't think we've ever had that moment where, like, take me, you blonde bastard, you know, I don't think we've ever had that, so It sucks. Sanji finally got it, but then he doesn't have any memory of it. He comes to and he's just like, why do I have lipstick on my... Okay, that's weird. I don't know, but damn, that's kind of shitty for Sanji. He can't remember that now. I mean, I guess it's better than having every memory of Pudding erased from his mind, but still. Huh, okay. Well, anyway, Pudding's there in the alleyway. She's just bawling her eyes out, and she's holding the memory in her hands. Remember her memo no mi, it basically takes the appearance of like a film strip that like she can physically hold the memories. So she's just there and crying about that. We don't really get what she's actually thinking. She just, you know, remembers her saying goodbye and then crying her eyes out. So, you know, I don't know how this is going to work. How Pudding, I mean, she's basically a national hero right now because everyone says that she's the one that made the cake. Because Sanji and Chiffon, you know, they're enemies and all that crap. So, I don't know, Pudding's gonna stick around in Totland, but she's kind of had a turning point for her character, you know? She doesn't really like Big Mom right now. She kind of rejects what she claimed, like, I'm not a puppet anymore, mama. So, I don't know what's gonna go on with Pudding. I could see her maybe pulling a Lola and escaping Totland. Maybe not right now, maybe give it a few weeks or months or something, but I could see her eventually just deciding to leave Totland and get the hell out of Dodge. Maybe if Big Mom, like, I could see her rallying, like, okay, we're gonna go after them Straw Hats, get together, Straw Hat Execution Force, and Katakuri's gonna be there, and Pudding's gonna be there, and then that's when they choose to leave, like, when they go after the Straw Hats. Maybe something along those lines, or help them out in some way. That could be something. So, we're not done with Pudding yet. Anyway, we find out that there were actually some of the territorial sea slugs left, you know, those things that are all around Big Mom's territory that Praline led away with her song. There was a few of those left, but that's not actually a bad thing because this is just to let the Big Mom pirates know that at the edge of her territory, the Thousand Sunny has just passed through. So now all of Totland knows that the Straw Hats did indeed manage to get in, pull all this crazy shit in a Yonko's territory, and they managed to get away. You know, at least with Impel Down, there was one precedent for that when you had Shiki. And I guess there would be one precedent for this too, because I think Roger also went in and left as well. But there's probably not very many other people aside from Roger that managed to get into Totland and then get out with their life intact and a lot of, like, basically unscathed. I mean, well, you know, Luffy's injured and the Sunny is damaged, but when I'm saying unscathed, I'm talking like, Luffy's lucky he's not walking out of there missing a few limbs. They kind of all are, you know? Well, Brook's a skeleton, yo-hoo-hoo-hoo, but at least he didn't die a second time, you know? Anyway, so yeah, they got away, and everyone's beginning to pull back now. The German are like, okay, let's get out of Totland, let's get out of Cacao, so they're evacuating. Now we cut over to the Mirror World, and this is kind of our wrap-up with Katakuri there. So we have Katakuri laying there, the hat is still, you know, obscuring his face and you know, making sure that nobody could see his scars in his mouth. A hand removes the hat. And we see that it's Brule, and, you know, that makes sense because, you know, she's there, she's the master of the Mirror World, she seems to have composed herself a little bit since the last time we saw her, and she begins to heal Katakuri, and it seems like it's very apparent right away that those two, their relationship is a little bit more than just, you know, subordinate and officer or anything like that. Obviously, they're all brothers and sisters, but some brothers and sisters behave differently than others. You can tell that these two definitely have, like, a relationship in some way, you know? And so Brule states, you know, when you were originally going to fall, you were going to fall face first. So how come you chose to, like, roll over at the last minute and land on your back? Because you're known as the man that never lands on his back. You know, you were originally going to land face first. And Katakuri just kind of plays it off. He's just like, oh, well, really? Was that? I don't even remember. And then he finally confesses to Brule, and I don't think there's anyone else really around right now. I think Flampe is either in the infirmary or still knocked out or whatever. Who gives a shit about that bitch? Anyway, Katakuri's sitting there, he's just like, you know, Brule, you know, even in my normal life, it's not like I've never been on my back. And then you have this really, really kind of warm moment where Brule, she turns and she says, yeah, I know that. I've always known that. I have my mirrors, and I've been watching you your whole life, and I've seen you. Yeah, we have flashbacks to when Katakuri, Oven, Daifuku, and Perospero, they were all like little kids. Perospero's 2 years older than the others, so, you know, in this scene, you know, maybe like, you know, Katakuri and Oven and Daifuku, they're all like, you know, 10, and Perospero Sparrow's like 12 or something, but, you know, they're all hanging out there eating donuts, and that seems to be like a happy childhood memory. Like, not all the children of Big Mom all ridiculed Katakuri. Like, obviously, Oven and Daifuku, his brothers, you know, that he was born with, you know, they're all they're triplets, they would be okay with it. Sparrow seems to be okay with Katakuri back then, so it wasn't like every single person hated him, but the majority of people called him, you know, like all of his younger siblings called him like, oh, here comes the pelican eel mouth guy again, you know, okay. Anyway, we get a scene here with Brûlé. We see Brûlé when she's very young as well, and we see the origin of how she got that scar across her face. Apparently, one of the enemies that Katakuri scared away came back for revenge and cut Brûlé's face, who's only like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years old at the time. Brûlé is the 8th daughter of the family, and Katakuri is the 2nd son, so I don't actually know how much difference there is between them. You know what's the weird thing about Brûlé? You know, she looks like really old. She looks like one of the oldest, you know, daughters of Big Mom. She actually kind of looks as old as Big Mom sometimes, you know, comparing. Like, compare Brûlé, the 8th daughter, to Compote, the 1st daughter, and Brûlé does kind of look older, in my opinion. You know, no, she's only the 8th, so, I mean, it depends. And by the way, Amande is the 3rd daughter. And look at her, Amande, I think many people would actually have sex with. Brûlé, on the other hand, well, okay, in the anime, they did make it look like she had a nice rack at some points. Okay, I'm fantasizing about Brûlé right now, and that's something that I never wanted to do in my life. I have to go on and more. The point is that Brûlé is having some nice little character redemption here. And when I say redemption, I actually have to kind of question even if that's the right word to use. Because you figure up until this point, yeah, Brûlé's been, you know, not that great of a character, you know, but you have to figure the entire arc. She was being, you know, kidnapped and used as transport for the Straw Hats and for Beige, you know, so every time you see her, she's like, I'm gonna kill you! Because, you know, she's being used as a hostage the entire time. So now, finally, we kind of get to see how she really acts with all of her, you know, family members, and how she really, you know, views Katakuri and everybody, because she doesn't basically have a gun to her head anymore. You know, so she's patching up Katakuri, and they're remembering this moment when some people that Katakuri attacked her, and then Katakuri got really pissed because he's like, oh, they attacked her because of what I did? I'll never forgive them. How dare you attack my sister? And that's when he throws up the scarf around his mouth, and he's like, I'll show you true perfect decimation. And that's when he really decided to take up that mantle as like the perfect older brother. Like, I'm gonna be absolutely flawless from here on out. I'm gonna hide my mouth so no one can see it anymore. That was the impetus for that when Brûlé got cut as a little girl. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything like well, they're brother and sister, but it's anime after all, so you never know. But no, I don't think it's anything like that. That's a little too weird for One Piece. Well, okay, it's just a little too off. I think this was more of just like, you know, brother and sisterly love to the point where it's like, I don't care what you look like, Katakuri. I don't care what your mouth looks like. You should be who you want to be, and this is how it should be between brother and sister, not the obsessive kind of love that you had from Flampe, where she's like, I'm the leader of the Katakuri fan club. All my older brothers love me. That's not good. That's not healthy. That's kind of weird, you know, to be that obsessed with your older brother. This is more of just like a mutual, like, you know, just be yourself, and I'm always going to support you because I'm your sibling. That's how it should really be. I don't have siblings. I'm an only child, so I don't really know how the whole brother and sister dynamic should really go. But I'm certain that probably if you have a lot of brothers and sisters, I mean, everybody's story is different, but you know, you probably fight sometimes, but I think for the most part, you're probably just like, okay, yeah, we're brothers and sisters, so we should support each other when we need to, you know, necessarily, okay? Now, at least more healthy than what Flampe was doing, you know what I mean? So, it's a cool moment with Brûlé and Katakuri, and I certainly never would have seen this coming. This heartwarming moment coming from Brûlé, of all people, the person that threatened to, like, scratch up Nami's face with her giant, jagged witch fingernails, but, yeah, I'm okay with her. It seems to imply that Katakuri did indeed let Luffy win, and even when Brûlé says, you know, you probably already know this because you could see the future, but the Straw Hats got away, and Katakuri just kind of smirks like, Okay, that's such a tragedy. So it seems to imply that Katakuri kind of let him win, and I think a lot of people are going to be okay with that, considering like Luffy bridging that gap just all of a sudden. I think just makes more sense that Luffy just kind of won over Katakuri, and that Katakuri kind of let him win there. And he's also happy that he got away, maybe because Katakuri maybe feels that at some point maybe he could change the way Totland is. He could maybe take down Big Mom. Who knows? I don't really know what Katakuri's motives are lying right now, but had to bring that up. So we cut back over to Cacao, and all the Big Mom pirates begin to cheer because Big Mom has now arrived on the scene. She's rocketing there on her sea slug frog jet ski, and she gets there. Everyone's brownie, and I think the sponge cake lady, like the 27th daughter, they're all shouting like, "Yeah, Mama's back!" And they get there, and Jinbe and the Germa, they're all like, "Oh shit!" And that's when Big Mom arrives and says, "Life or death!" Which is different from what she usually, like, I think it's like treat or life or something like that is what she normally says. But no, in both translations, both Manga Stream and this one, it says life or death. So I think basically it would have been more, oh man, it would have been way more impactful if she just said death or death. You know, like, you're not getting out of this alive. But of course, we all know they're going to get out of this alive. I highly doubt that Jinbe's going to die here. I know some people were thinking it, but nah, Jinbe's going to be fine. Even the Germa, I don't see, okay, maybe you could take out Yonji. You can have Yonji! Here's Yonji! You can kill him! Nichi and Ichiji are pretty cool, and Reiju's hot. We can't lose her. Okay, you know what? Bonus points, you can have Judge too. I still don't like that bastard, okay? Here you go. You can have Yonji and you can have Judge. Alright, so anyway, we cut to the last scene of the chapter. We don't know what happens with Big Mom and Jinbe. We just don't know. That's where it ends. We cut back over to the last scene of the chapter. We're on the Sunny. We're out of Big Mom's territory, and Sanji states, you know what? I'm gonna make some grub. So, of course, Luffy and Chopper and Brook, they all begin to like, oh my god, food! Sanji's food! I missed it so much! I didn't even know we were this hungry! You know, even with Luffy, with all of his, like, wounds covering his entire body, he's like, yeah, let's do it! Sanji goes and makes some food for the crew. Meanwhile, we cut all the way back to the East Blue, where the Baratier's at. And we all know the Baratier, the seafaring restaurant there. And some pirates have come in for some food, and everyone, like Patty and everybody, doesn't want to serve them because they're the enemies of the Baratier. I was expecting maybe that would have been really cool to have it be someone we've already known, like Geen walks in from the freaking Don Krieg pirate armada, like he's the one that walks in, and then it's like, we can't serve them after all they did to us, you know, but it doesn't matter. Zeph, it's just some regular pirates, like Riff Raff, like nobody we've ever met before, and Zeph is like, nah, it's fine, I'll do it, you freaking bastards, I'll make food. And the last scene of the chapter is very beautiful. It's both Sanji and Zeph at the same time, you know, delivering the food to both the Straw Hats and the pirates, respectively, at the Baratier, stating that, I'll feed whoever's hungry. The talking comes later. And then that's the end of the chapter, and then that's the end of the arc. So, yeah, you know, it lasted a lot longer than I think a lot of people would have liked. But we're done now, and I think next chapter is where we're going to get the announcement of, like, where we're going to go from here. Are we going to go right to Wano, or are we going to get that Reverie? I don't know. I would like Reverie, and maybe it's going to be intercut between the two, like we're going to Wano, and at the same time Wano's going on, we cut back over to Reverie. I don't know. I don't know how I was going to handle it, but, yeah, 77 chapters, I think a lot longer than a lot of people expected. You know, but, and you could have definitely slimmed it down at a certain point. Like, you could probably have made the whole cake thing. You could have probably, like, you know, trimmed that down by a few chapters and stuff. But, you know, and maybe a little bit more development from Sanji, because this was supposed to be, like, Sanji's big arc. And near the beginning, it seemed like it was going to be something like that. But by the end of it, it just seemed like, oh, yeah, I mean, Sanji made the cake and everything. That was cool. But I think we were expecting maybe a little bit more from him there. Even the scene at the end with Sanji and Zeph delivering the food at the same time, I mean, that's a really cool scene, the way that Oda laid it out and stuff, like a parallel, but I feel like we could have added maybe a few more scenes of Zeph throughout the arc, you know, to maybe, like this would have looked a lot cooler if it was, like, you know, I don't know, a year ago rather than now, because we haven't really focused on Sanji all that much in the recent chapters. You know, it's been mostly focused on, like, you know, the Big Mom pirates and Katakuri and the fight with Luffy. You know, maybe that, I'm just saying, like, we could have had more Sanji stuff in the arc. Just saying we could have. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the next chapter. I don't know if it's just going to be like, you know, usually what Oda likes to do, and I'm really pumped for this, I hope this is what happens, usually between the arcs, we usually cut away to other scenes of the world, right? So, next chapter, it could be a fucking free-for-all, guys. We could cut to Marijois, we could see what's going on with the Blackbeard Pirates, we could see what's going on with the Revolutionaries, with Shanks, any part of the freaking world we could cut to. What's going on with the Warlords? It's all fair game. It really is. We could cut over to see what's going on in Wano right now, like with Zoro, like next chapter, just to kind of give us like a glimmer of what's happening before we cut back. I mean, it could be anything. That's usually what Oda likes to do in between arcs, so let's hope that we get one of those next week, because that's the first time I would ever have like reviewing one of those chapters where we're just cutting around all over the place, and I'm really pumped for that. So yeah, here's to Totland. I'm gonna do a video about Totland, all the different islands, because of geography is everything. I'm gonna be doing a video about that, and I also want to do a video about like just Sanji's character development throughout this arc. So that's 2 videos about Totland, just to kind of wrap everything up. And maybe to end this video, maybe I should give you my actual top 5 favorite moments from Totland. I think that'd be a good way to close it out. Okay, alright. Here they are. Top 5. Tekking101's top 5 favorite moments from the Totland arc. Later, everybody.